Thank you so much for the introduction, Anna. I'm glad to be here again, sharing some stuff for like different students and even professionals. So let me just share my screen para we can go through my presentation. Sige, are you able to see my screen, ha?
Yes po, sir.
All right. Sige. So, um, yeah, my topic is about the introduction to the lazy way of testing your web applications. So just a bit of context, um, like before I started to come up with this topic, I was actually pitched to have a different kind of topic that was more about cybersecurity and security for the web and whatnot. But after seeing a lot of things in the industry, I figured it's actually really important also to have robust testing suites and capabilities for applications, especially for production, because that will also ease out a lot of the bugs that causes this certain kind of security flaws and issues. Hence, the topic of my talk today. So I'm gonna be sharing some stuff for automated UI integration testing, but just a very just setting your expectations. We are not going to delve so much on the code, like on the semantics. We are still going to code just some form of like showing you around how this works. But this is mainly focusing on like getting you interested, getting you onboarded on the idea that testing your web applications can help a lot on the processes for web development, especially on production setting. So again, let's go through. So again, I'm Raven. I'm a tech consultant and product builder. So I've built various stuff for various companies and even for my own products. Um, and just very recently, I jumped on board at Symph to lead all of the engineering teams there. And we're working on various like 500 startups, Rappler, Concept PH, various companies in the Philippines. We work to support their tech. And we work to develop like various features that are needed by like thousands or even millions of people on a daily basis. So after like my experience on building various products, I actually realized something. So what I realized is that number one, testing takes a lot of time. Number two, testing can be very inconsistent. So I'm talking about like the human manual testing here. So another is bad testing can lead to security flaws. And then testing costs a lot of money. So let me just give you a very quick example. Like for example here, let's say you and your team has created like this very small lang na component. So let's say you're adding features here. This is like a to-do application, right? So you can add more stuff, you can cross out things, you can complete things, you can sort them, you can clear them, you can check the count of what's in there. So all of this sounds so simple, and all of this sounds like okay pa right now to test, right? Because testing this one like seems so trivial in terms of time. But when you add all of these things together, like in a whole flow, let's say from login to purchasing to let's say doing various edge cases for the applications or how the users are expected to behave, things pile up really quickly. So now, from this, like I can test this for minutes or like seconds, it can go to like a single day just to test the whole application if it works or not. Right? So it's actually like very time consuming, and the human factor that is in that process is actually also um is also something you need to be keen about if you want to have robust testing, because humans are really prone to errors and inaccuracies. So let's continue. Um, and one of the things also that I learned is that I'm lazy. I'm too lazy to do all of them, diba? Especially manually. So when things pile up, like the features pile up, imagine if you have to test something. So this is a very common issue when developing applications, di ba? Like there's a bug, tapos you made a fix for that bug. And then when you made the fix for that bug, di mo you didn't realize that you've introduced a different bug to a different part of your application. So now you have to create a fix for that bug, and then it cycles and cycles and cycles. Diba? Because you don't have exactly a better coverage or a better tool that in a way that you can test all of these things easily and on an automated basis. So what if I told you now there is a better way? Okay.
Desktop
So
app.
I'm just gonna quickly show you this video. I think I'm already sharing my audio. Actually, I'm just gonna double confirm because I didn't check it the first time around. All right. Okay, here we go. So I'm just gonna quickly show you here the power of automated testing. Take note, this is all automated.
Desktop app, booting our project. We've launched Chrome, and we're now testing
So right here,
Apple's
the
main
testing the
navigation.
Apple website.
We're now searching through Apple's support system, applying some filters, clicking through a help document, and finally testing it in responsive mode. With Trello, we're now logging in. We are creating a new board. We're adding a story, adding a comment, and applying a label. Now we're logging in again. We're clicking through the Trello settings. And lastly, we're now testing Trello's homepage and modifying the viewport to be responsive. And with Cypress, we can walk back in time through our commands. So as we hover on the command, Cypress restores DOM to the state that it was in at that time. We display key indicators like highlighting the elements in question, or even providing the exact hitbox where an action such as a click took place. And we can also pin these snapshots, allowing us to manually inspect the DOM or potentially cycle through multiple snapshots, such as before and after an action took place.
All right, so the video that you saw there is not actually like fast forwarded, or it's not actually like a time lapse of what they did for the testing. It's actually real time, and it's all done automatically. So it's done by a script that they made to test out the websites, like both Apple and Trello. So later on today, we will be doing something like that. Para we'll be able to show you like the actual power of like the automated testing. So again, welcome to the introduction to the lazy way of testing your web applications. Sige, so in the first place, what is automated UI and integration testing? So automated UI and integration testing is a technique where these testing processes are performed using an automation tool or automated tool. Instead of having testers click through the application to verify data and action flows visually, test scripts are written for each test case instead. So to simulate that and test an application's interaction with end users as well as applications interactions with its various components. For short, you are technically programming like the person interacting your application or your web application. So basically, it's like it's like you're commanding someone to check out and to do things for your web application automatically, or like in a fashion na you laid out everything that he needs to do. So the goal here is number one, simulate actual user scenario. So this is very important, the term actual, because if you're just testing like dream scenarios or those scenarios that are not actually like part of what's going to be deployed in production, then it's not necessarily a proper testing, because you cannot like expect what's going to happen on a production setting if you're just gonna test on like different kind of environment. So, and number two is that to validate component interactions in application. Okay, so that you will know if like checking this checkbox works, if the login button works, if this password is able to handle like the certain number of strings and characters. Okay, and then the next one is it makes sure that the system behaves as expected. So this is technically the purpose of the test. Diba? Make sure that the system is as expected. And last but not the least is to reduce human error by automation. Actually, there's an add-on to this one. It also makes your test faster. So as you've seen earlier sa video, those tests are actually real time. So if a single human does that test, what happens is that it takes a lot of time, di ba? Mag-click pa, will type in. So like the speed of the human versus the speed of like the script and or the bot that's doing it is like very very like in contrast yun sila duha in terms of like the speed of doing the testing. So the benefits is, of course, it saves total computed time spent on testing. It gives you more confidence in introducing and developing features, less bugs. So I made an example earlier, di ba, na sometimes we fix bugs and then the fixes that we made has introduced a different bugs on a different features in our app. So it expands test coverage and stability, and it confirms application health in a fast and data driven. So what this means is that this is actually nice. Kay, like let's say you introduce a new feature. Let's say you already have like a very complicated web application. Tapos you introduce a new feature. Let's say you have like social network website, and now you're introducing a feature na you're adding a marketplace on that social network website. So, what's nice here is that you can develop your new features. Tapos as you add new features, you can continue on testing and testing, running the test automatically, para you can see that you're not breaking a different thing, right? So it actually checks off your application's health fast and data driven, because you'll see like what parts are changed, what parts are breaking, and whatnots. All right, so the basics. So the basics is one, verifying each workflow or transaction through each individual application from start to finish. So technically, when you want to test, you actually want to have it as some sort of a flow, and then ensure each process occurs correctly. And then test could be in a single application or interface interaction with an external application or third-party vendor. So don't worry about this. We're gonna show uh, a live example of afterwards. So for example, this one is like an e-commerce site, di ba? So steps to take. So go to website, navigate through the website until you find the pricing page. Tapos add desired items to your cart, then check out. Proceed to payment page, insert the credentials and whatnots, tapos submit, and then finalize the purchase. So if you do these steps on your own, it's gonna take you a lot of time. Diba? And then it's gonna like possibly introduce some inefficiencies and inaccuracies, because if a person, if an actual person is doing this, there are prone to be like human errors. So, okay, I think this is the part now we're gonna actually do some actual stuff. So I'm going to introduce to you like what we're gonna use today, which is Cypress. So Cypress is an end-to-end testing suite that you can use to test your web application. So there's a couple of reasons why I am using Cypress to introduce to you guys. Number one is because it's very easy for newcomers. But mind you, there are a lot of like testing suites available. Like there are testing suites for mobile. There are testing suites that are focused only for the APIs and focused only for the backend. There are testing suites that are focused on like just the UI interactions. There's a couple of them. So maybe you can come on board on a company that has a different testing suite, but this logic that you do here actually applies to almost all of them. So the beauty lang of Cypress is that it has features already, like it's like an all-in-one package. You do not have to like, okay, download this plugin, download this different plugin, download this another plugin, because Cypress can be like your end-to-end all-be-all testing suite for web applications, or even those mobile apps that are created using web browsers like Ionic and other kinds of like mobile web framework. So it has the ability to time travel. I'm gonna show you that later. It's very what I term as debuggable. It can do real-time reloads, and it has automatic waiting. This is very important because if you get more into testing in the future, you'll understand timing can actually be very crucial in your testing. So for example, like when you click a button, it doesn't necessarily mean, di ba, like the next part that you're expecting is already there. For example, you log in, di ba? It's not diyan na when you click the login button on Facebook, like just like a few seconds or like a few milliseconds, you can already see the home screen. You have to wait for a few seconds or more. So the waiting part is also very important to make your test non-flaky and very and stable. So flaky, by mean flaky is not stable. Like sometimes the tests are okay, sometimes the test doesn't work. Okay, so let's just do some baby steps. I am not sure about the profile of most of you, but if you are not familiar with npm, you can install this by installing node.js on your machine. So you can just quickly search that one. There's already a lot of resources. So I'm gonna just assume that you already have npm installed on your machine. So and then there's two ways to do this. One is if you have already an existing application, so you can add this to that project, or two, you can make it as a separate project that just like parang like out of like your application is just gonna test your application as a black box. All right, so that's what we're gonna do right now because we're testing an application that we didn't even made. So sige, we'll go through some examples. So let's do an actual demo time. Right, so I have with me basic lang na okay, my basic console. So this is not even on WSL. So let's just create a new folder here. Let's call this let's say DevFest. Okay. So let's create lang a very basic, let's initialize lang a very basic package. So npm init, and then let's just use the name of the folder as is. So enter, 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 enter. And it now generated to you like the basic package, the JSON, which is gonna be used to install our packages. So since we're gonna be using this npm to install Cypress. All right. So let's just open this in our code. All right. And then what we're gonna do is follow this. So npm install. So npm install Cypress save dev. So why dev? Because you do not necessarily want to have your testing suite deployed on production. So you can just keep all of your testing dependencies on your development dependencies. So it's not necessary for production environment. Okay, so let's install this as dependency. So it's gonna install, it's gonna take a bit of time. So while it's installing, let's just go through some of the things that you can use for automated testing. So aside from Cypress, we have this Kubiton. Siguro one of the most like very sikat, quote unquote sikat, was made for Salesforce web automation tool, very in demand, and can be used across different platforms like Windows, Mac, Linux browsers, and whatnots. They even have like version of Selenium, like Appium, that lets you test your mobile apps as well with the same kind of syntax and language. So there's a lot like Telerik Test Studio, Self-Test. Cucumber is also very quote unquote sikat, and it's like a staple for a lot of frameworks. So yeah, let's check back. Okay, so it's already installed. So since it's already installed, let's follow the next step. So the next step is to open our NPX, I mean our Cypress testing suite. So NPX Cypress open. And when you do this, it's gonna open Cypress. Let's just wait for a bit. Let's check. Okay, so as you can see here, when we did the npm install earlier, it already installs the necessary packages here sa node modules. Sige, let's wait for this one. Okay, we're gonna showcase this bit by bit afterwards. Okay, for those advanced developers, if you're still not into automatic testing, mind you that the examples that I'm going to do today will be a black box example, but this can also be like tightly integrated on your web application. Let's say you're developing a React app or you're developing an Angular app or even a Vue one. You can import your components and then you can test things on that component. For those newcomers, for beginners, I will explain some of these things right now. Sige, so when you open the first time Cypress, it's going to actually generate like this mga boilerplate codes and sample getting started codes that they have here. All right, so this testing suite is run again by using this command npx cypress open. All right, so there are some basic examples here that you can already do. So for example, to do that specs. So remember this site that we tested? So it's actually gonna do some testing automatic here. So let's open this. You're just gonna need to click this, and then it's gonna open a Chromium browser. You can actually also change what browser you want it to open, and then it's gonna load the test on the left side. Tapos you're gonna see it happen here. So I'm not doing anything, Right. So everything happened so fast. So what actually happened? So now this actually is the beauty of Cypress. So the beauty of Cypress is it has this like time travel functionality. So you can actually like check the record of what happened to the testing step by step. Para you can easily also debug if there's going to be an issue. So of course, pinakauna din here is display two to-do items by default. So let's start here. So what it does is first is it visited the website here. So it visits the HTTPS example that cypress.io. So this is the exact same one that we visited earlier. And then, oh, by the way, this is when every time Cypress opens this, it's gonna reset all of the cache and application storage. Para it's going to be like a fresh like experience. But you can of course change that behavior as well. So example, so first step it does is it visited the website. Second step, it gets the to-do list. So yeah, so one thing to note then is there is some syntax that you need to know about when you want to select or query some elements on the browser. But we can teach you the basics naman. So what it's doing here, it's like it's getting the dot to do list. This is a class, and then li. So technically, this is what this is. If you inspect element this is actually it has actually a class to do list. Where's that class? So it's done. Let me check. Here the I. Sorry. So it's gonna show you the different classes in here when you check when you inspect element. So you can see here. Let's try to open this one na lang here.